Welcome to my shocking shed. Quick look at the overviews. Panels 1, 2 are south east facing. Panels 3 and 4 and 5 are south facing. And panel 6 is southwest facing. It's a grim day out there with a bit of rain and still importing energy from the grid. Nothing on the power diverter at the moment, nothing on the shed inverter. If I was to switch on certain things, the humidity switches on first 9 minutes of the day, of the hour, so that's drawing power. That might increase and kick the night inverter in, and that sort of sums that part up. Looking at the energy meter, which is here, we've had a little bit of sun first thing in the morning and pulled in a few watts into those batteries. The purple is the into the battery, and the blue is Fat Cat usage. So the Fat Cat power providers I've had to pay them for certain parts of that hour, and other parts of the morning for when it's been night time, purely usage for the first 2 hours from the grid, and a couple of hours there I've been shaving some power with the inverter, and a lot more power kicked in there. Light blue inverter. As you can see at the top, as gradually as this bar here, we've had some solar input, we've had some power from the grid, probably the toaster kicking in or whatever, a hairdryer or something for momentarily, and then we've also had the inverter kick in to shave a little bit of power off the top. So where we've had excess, we've just had this, and as the day's progressing, a bit more solar usage, more solar than Fat Cats, and a little bit of inverter when the peaks have happened. Going over to this side, the energy distribution graph, really it needs a moment in time graph. This is since midnight, so since midnight 1.7 kilowatt hours we've taken from the grid. We've generated 0.6 kilowatt hours, of which some of that's gone into the battery. So it shows power that's gone into the battery so far since midnight. And this side is the overall usage during the day. So we've had some of the nighttime inverter from the battery, and some solar, but predominantly this part of the day, which is about 10 o'clock, it's from the grid. So that sort of sums that up. Not a bad system. I've quite enjoyed working on it. I've had to do some automations, mind. So if I've nipped over to the settings, over to automation and scenes, juggling these automations has been a real pain in the neck. The inverter in the shed, let's go into the programming of that. I've had to title it, enable it, and it works on the trigger if over 330 watts are pulled from the grid, local power changes. It's got to cross that threshold, 330, for instantaneously, and the main battery charging is off. That's caused problems in the past. It turns on the device, or both devices, the cooling and the inverter, for 2 minutes 10 seconds, and then turns off the inverter and the fan for 15 seconds. So I'm having to do it in a pulse way. It doesn't seem to like continuous working. Then it restarts, kicks in again, and gradually shaves the power off that way. That's the most reliable way so far I've managed to get this to work. Ideally, I'd like to seek to make it work continuously, but I'm having to do it in pulses with those automations. Going back to the other automations, the battery charging. So constantly, if the power diverter is wasting energy and chucking it into heat, it detects it. It's going to have to do it for 10 seconds and switches the battery charging on or checks the inverters off, because I did get into a cycle when the inverter was charging the battery that was charging the inverter, That rather embarrassing, wondering where the energy was coming from. It turns on the main battery pack and the auxiliary battery pack. Turns those on for 2 minutes, charging, and then switches them off and waits for 5 seconds and then does it again. I haven't got a problem with those cycling in and out. So that's those two automations as part of the energy system. So this is what I'm getting. This can also go to, let's have a look, different, so throughout the week, because it's Monday, that's all we've got there. Let's go to month. That's what we've had so far. This is when the inverter went in, and this is all the battery charging. So as you can tell, I'm a high usage household. We've got a high usage household. All the orange is the solar taken off that, and the grid is still the blue. And so far this year, scarily, that's really the only valid month so far, June. So about a third of the energy, I'd say about a third of the energy was no longer given to the fat cats. They're going back to the day. Hopefully throughout the summer that replicates. Not looking forward to the winter because we haven't got a huge amount of panels. So we'll take it from there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.